So you want to learn to draw. You want to learn to draw urban spaces, you want to learn to draw buildings, you want to figure out, do you have what it takes to draw? Do you have the talent? Here, I want to just erase something from your mind. Anybody can draw. You just have to learn some of the basics and some of the steps and some of the skills. So we're going to walk through how to draw this particular building in 4 simple steps. My goal for this and for the series of these videos that I'm hoping to put together is to encourage you and inspire you that you're going to be able to draw anything you see in 4 easy steps. So we're going to go over step 1, supplies and composition. Step 2, we're going to block in all the shapes. Step 3, we're going to ink everything in. And then step 4, we're going to paint and add some detail. I'm going to try and put timestamps in the description below so you can easily skip ahead if you already have your supplies and stuff. But first, let's go ahead and talk about step 1, supplies and composition. So I already know that I'm going to paint this in watercolor, so I have a watercolor sketchbook here. I personally really like spiral bound sketchbooks. That's because I can easily turn the page without the paper getting bent, because I usually sell all the originals that I create. And it's just nice when it's not in a bound book and I have to cut out the page and it already has some fringing. So I really prefer, wow, you can guess the dishwasher's done. I really prefer these spiral bound pages. Also, this brand, if you were curious, it's the Shenzhen Design brand. 24 sheets, 100% cotton. It's an 8x8 page, acid-free, 140 pounds, 100% recycled, made in India. So like this is my favorite sketchbook. Really, really love this particular sketchbook because it absorbs the water really well. It doesn't crumple and wrinkle as I put water down and paint different parts of the page. It's a pretty thick boy right here. It's a pretty thick girl. It's a pretty thick page. And it just makes it a lot easier to paint when I'm done. Now let's talk about like the pens, pencils, and brushes that you'll need. So you absolutely have to get this pencil right here. Now you can get it in any brand. This brand is called Kimberly General Pencil Company brand, but it's the 2B brand. You're gonna find in graphite or charcoal pencils, they're gonna come in different, different grades. It's about their hardness. It's about like how dark they are, how light they are. This particular kind, you're gonna be able to lightly sketch some stuff, either heavier or lighter. And then with an eraser, these erasers are like, you know, $1 or $2. You'll just get a little bit of it, set it aside, and you'll easily be able to erase anything that you put down. You won't be able to do that with a number 2 pencil. The lead in a number 2 pencil is going to be a little too hard or grippy to the paper, and it's going to leave all these smears, and you don't want that. So go to Michael's, go to your local art supply store, get any graphite pencil, but it's got to be 2B because that's really easy for these erasers to pick up. Get an eraser. Again, the erasers are probably like $2 for a big chunk of this. These pencils are probably $1 or $2 if you can find them individually. Sometimes you might have to buy it in a pack, which will be about $9 or $10. Go ahead and buy it and then save this pencil. You're gonna want a little pencil sharpener. You might have a mechanical one. I prefer the digital ones, not digital, the manual ones. And then you can just pop it in there, apply a little bit of pressure, spin it around, and you'll be able to pull out a nice sharp tip. Then when it comes to the ink, I personally like the micron pencils. These come in different sizes, and so the size I prefer for these sketches is a 0.2. Now, I'm gonna move on to the painting portion. If you want some paint supplies, I have a little small tin pan. I do pan watercolors. This is where you can get watercolors in like 2 forms. You can get it in like a a wet tube where it's already kind of wet. And then you can get the pan version where you just buy these individual colors. You can put it in this metal pan and then you can paint it however. I like to pick my colors out, put them in. This is a limited palette. I actually have bigger palettes. This is my large size palette right here. I think this has 40 different colors in it. We'll talk about that in another video. But usually for most of my stuff, I will stick with this smaller palette. But we'll save that for the painting portion. Finally, I really like these Raphael, I think that's how I say it, Raphael brushes. It uses an imitation squirrel hair. This is a round brush, meaning that I can get really fine lines if I want, or I can make really thick strokes as well. So that covers all the supplies that you're going to need. Let's go ahead and jump into part 2, blocking. Oh, wait. We almost forgot about composition. So those are the supplies. Let's take a look at the image itself. So this is an image that I found online. It's an image of a bunch of row homes in Boston. So some of these colonial style brick and mortar row home houses, really cool. Now we could try and fit all of this on this square canvas, but instead what I want to do is I want to isolate the middle row home and really draw that out. I think that's going to make the home pop. It's going to be the centerpiece of everything that we're doing here, and we're just going to pretend like those other buildings don't even exist. And so when you take this larger picture down and you focus in on the main element, it's just gonna pop. Composition is half the battle. So there is our supplies and composition. Let's move on to part 2, blocking in the shapes. So when it comes to blocking in the shapes, you might be tempted to think like, oh, I'm gonna start with the chimney and we're gonna make some really strong details there. No. What we wanna do is we wanna block in the shapes. So let me show you over here. If you can draw a circle, if you can draw an oval, and if you can draw a rectangle, you're going to be able to draw everything else in this drawing, okay? Now, when it comes to an urban style, you can go hyper realistic if you want. That's not my style though. I really like to be loose in my style. So sometimes when I'm out and about and I'm sketching something in real life or here at home, I like to be loose. So I'm really not concerned about all the lines being straight. In fact, I intentionally will make the lines wiggly. But first we're gonna do an underdrawing using this block in shape method. And so I'm gonna start. The whole home has sort of a rectangle look. So I'm gonna start by, let's see, I'm gonna start right about here and I'm gonna draw the base of the home. This right here is gonna be the base, okay? And then I'm gonna draw up the rectangle to where I think the floor is. Here's another part of the rectangle. Let's see, floor 1, let's say this is floor 1, here's a rectangle. Floor 2, here's a rectangle. And then we're gonna go up a little bit more. Floor 3, here's a rectangle. And then there's like this last little piece at the top, which is also a rectangle. Boom, we've got our sections of the home kind of down already. I made a mistake, so I raised that line a touch. Now, because we have this nifty pencil that easily erases, I can just erase that, okay? So that's really light, hopefully you can see it, but now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna add some more shapes. So it looks like there is sort of a door right here with a little bit of an oval at the top. Bring that down. I'm gonna just kind of block in the stairs. Looks like they spread out a little bit, so I did that just a touch, but that's a rectangle. Then there's this gate. Looks like it comes up about here, and I'm just gonna pull over outside of the house to show that it's a little bit 3D. There's a rectangle. Gonna do the same on this gate. Come outside the house a little bit. There's a rectangle. Then I see like some stones under the gate, so there's a rectangle. Here's another rectangle. Let's see, what else do I see here on this level? Oh, there's some windows, so we're gonna draw like a little rectangle with an oval at the top. Looks like it matches the door. rectangle with an oval at the top so that it matches the door. Then there's, let's see, looks like there's some rectangles here holding up this balcony. How many? Let's see. One there, and then two on the side. One here, and two on the side. And then we're going to go to the next floor. Looks like there's a rectangle of a balcony right about here. And then within the balcony, starting at the base, there are these rectangles and ovals, some more doors. So I'm going to draw that. These are actually windows. Draw that. I'm just sketching. I'm not really super concerned if it's exact. It's not a big deal. Have fun with it. Draw another line here. Going to the next floor. Going to do a little oval, straight line, another little oval, straight line, another oval, straight line, and then we're going to do a rectangle, another rectangle, another rectangle, and then we're going to do another rectangle. And this is the full-blown window now. Rectangle there, rectangle. You see, this is like, it's just rectangles and ovals. It's not a lot, you guys. You can do this. Draw some more lines here to kind of indicate that top portion. And now I'm going to draw in these windows. We're going to do little rectangles up here in line with those windows. There we go. And then there's like an oval bit here, just like some indication. Draw some more rectangles off of those ovals. That looks great. And now I'm going to add like just another rectangle at the top. And we can draw a little chimney, looks like. There's like a little chimney-esque thing. Another rectangle. Going to draw a little line there. We'll bring it all the way down the side of the house. I don't know if it's down the side of the house, but I just want to block in the house just a touch more. Boom. And now we get to, okay, so this is like the big block in part, okay? We've blocked in all the big shapes, and now we're going to go back in and we're going to block in just a little bit more, some more details. You could totally start inking here, but I'm going to block in just a few more details for the sake of this video. So I'm going to make a smaller window here so that now I blocked in the shape of the overall window, but now I'm gonna like kind of reveal where the molding is and where that like those outer layers are. So I'm just gonna bring that down there. And then it looks like these windows go up quite a bit there. And then there's like this line break there. Windows go all the way up about there, bring it down, line, and then another line. Bring this up, over, line, another line. Very cool. Then there's all these little architectural things in this one. So right about in the middle, we can bring a line down, and then we'll just add in this circle. There's a circle at the top there, and then we'll do like a little oval here. That looks about right. And let's see. Looks like there's the window curves here, so we're doing like little ovals, and then there's some fancy stuff at the top. I think we can put a little square right here to indicate some more architectural design. Now we'll come to, let's see, there's a little oval over the door, looks like a little circle right here. Let's add a doorknob. I can't really see a doorknob, but I'm just going to put it right there because I feel like it matches. And then there's a similar sort of window pattern at the bottom here. So we're gonna make some more ovals, indications of that design, some more lines kind of bringing it through. And looks like there's like a little border around the door. So I'm just gonna trace that all the way around. And then let's add in these little bushes. So I'm just gonna do little squiggles. I'm not even trying to draw exactly what I see. I'm just giving the impression of a bush. Perfect. And then I'll come back in and do these other lines later. Okay, There we go. In about 10 minutes time, we have blocked in this entire house. Now we're gonna go on to step 3, which is the inking process. And this is a lot of fun because this is where you really get to let your expressiveness come out a bit. You have a good foundation for what this picture is going to look like. You know, everything's going to fit inside the picture. Now we're going to go over all the lines where, let's see, there we go. Now we're going to go back over all the lines and we're just going to outline it. And now I'm going to do this over here. And so this is what we're going to do. These are not perfect shapes. We don't want perfect shapes. And so when we outline everything, you don't have to be so meticulous holding on to the pen with everything in you. No, be loose and just kind of have fun with it. Go with the flow. So I'm just going to start at this door and I'm just going to start outlining. And I am intentionally not outlining perfectly. Okay, this is probably the biggest thing about my particular style, and I've seen some other urban sketchers do the exact same thing. In fact, I learned this from some other urban sketchers and it's just changed my life. When you try and paint or draw or outline everything perfectly, when you don't do it perfect, it's gonna stand out so much more. When every little thing you're doing is perfect and you're using a ruler to get everything, it's so much more evident when you make a mistake. But when your primary focus is actually just giving the impression of the lines and intentionally making little mistakes here and there, you can't tell what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. See, all of these windows are a little bit different size and shape. I don't really care. That's totally fine. I'm okay with that. All right, now I'm going to do these little circles with the line, circle with the line. Just having fun with it. Okay, now I'm going to come up here and draw out the window. Perfect. And we're going to do this one. This is the beauty about urban sketching. You just have fun with it. As long as you're enjoying the process, it doesn't matter what other people think, right? Like, it doesn't matter if they think it looks like one for one exactly what they see in the picture. Doesn't matter if they approve or not. No, you are doing this for you. You're capturing a moment in time yourself, a place in history, along with some architecture. Right now, all I'm doing is I'm just outlining roughly what I saw. And there were like some little shelves on the side here. So I'm just gonna add that in. It's okay, some of my lines are gonna cross over. Not a big deal. And now we're gonna move up to the upper floor. So let's see, I wanna start this floor here. Draw a little line, not a perfect line. It has little wiggles and squiggles, and that's what makes it great. You can even put jagged edges like this, and that's just gonna add more character to the drawing. Now we're gonna draw these top windows. I'm just outlining, and I'm intentionally messing up occasionally because this is just for fun. This is just me capturing something. And I'm just gonna go there. Awesome. And then some of the windows have little bars. So I'm just gonna show little indications of that. The panes of glass. And now there was this really complicated shape and like really complicated details up top here. I'm not even worried about it. I'm just gonna, again, kind of capture the essence of what I saw. And then I can do another little half moon here. Draw some little lines indicating, go ahead and capture the top of this roof. Oh my gosh, we're almost done with step 3, the inking process. Do the chimney. for years, you guys, like I was so frustrated because I saw all these artists out there with character and I loved their designs and their drawings. And I was like, why can't I draw like that? And I had to learn just to kind of let my mind go and just to not worry about perfection. It's when you're constantly trying to achieve perfection in your drawings that you get hung up and you stop and you just kind of give up. I like to talk about it as the stages of creating art. Stage one is that wide-eyed optimism. We all are like excited at the beginning of the drawing because it's the possibilities are endless. And then we move on to this stage of, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? This is absolute crap. I am not an artist. I should not have done this. And then after that, we come to the worst stage, which is where you start calling yourself crap. Like, oh, I'm crap. I shouldn't even be doing this. I need to take all this stuff back to Michael's or back to my local art store, right? But then finally, eventually you get to stage 4 where it's like, wait a second. I might actually pull this off. Wait a second. This is actually starting to come together. And that's just such an exciting stage to be in, but you only get to experience that stage if you stick around and you keep pushing through when you feel like, oh, this is actually crap. I don't want to show this to anyone. In fact, I'm not even going to finish it myself. It's really important to finish every single drawing that you start because you're going to learn something every single time that you start and you finish a piece. But if you don't finish, that's the big problem for a lot of people. If you don't finish, you're never going to get those lessons. And if you wait until you achieve perfection, you're never going to get there. You're going to continue to get frustrated because, oh, I should have done this. And then, oh, let me just give up. Let me just start over. And you never perfect your skill because you're just still in that drawing phase. So, or you're still in that learning phase. So we're almost done with the inking process. I'm just gonna outline a few more things here. Get these bottom windows. And see, I'm not hyper concerned about all the little details if I'm capturing everything perfectly. I'm just trying to capture an impression, right? I'm just trying to capture some of the basic stuff. For stairs, I'm just going to draw some little lines here. People will know these are stairs. Just draw those lines further out because that gives that impression, that visual of stairs. I'm going to get the bushes here. Just some wiggly lines. I'm not drawing leaves. I'm just giving the impression. You can make this smooth or you can make this jagged. I tend to like to do foliage as jagged. And then the last little piece we're going to do here are the little brick parts on the edge over here. Oh, wait, there is one more thing, and I'm actually going to, no, I'll do it with this pen, the gate. So let's see. I'm just going to draw a line straight here and another line straight here. And then I'm just going to pull these lines down. Pull these lines down. Now you could connect all of the lines. I'm trying to do a tutorial right now. So you can connect that on your own time. And yeah, so here we go. This is the end of step 3, which is ink everything in. Now you might notice that there are still like the sketch lines everywhere. So what I like to do at this point, I like to kind of take another look because I did miss a few little shapes and I'm trying to fill those in right now. But otherwise, like, it looks really good to me. So I'm going to cap this up and now I'm going to take that eraser and I'm just going to erase just lightly over the whole sketch, and I'm going to get rid of those initial lines, that under drawing. And now what I'm left with is just the ink. And look at that. That looks fantastic. A fantastic little piece of art. So now we're going to move on to step 4, which is paint and add in detail. So I've got my water here, and I'm going to make room and get my watercolor palette here. So I'm going to pull some cerulean blue, and I'm just going to dab it there. Get a little cerulean blue going. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to do some sky first. Let's just do a little dab. Oh, I want it thicker than that. Little dab, 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 dab. And I'm going to keep this paint kind of wet. Dab, dab. Now what I like to do with sky stuff is it'll be darkest at the top and then eventually gradually gets lighter and lighter as you come down the page. So there's the lightest value. Now I'm going to add a little bit more darker value at the top. So I'm just getting a little more pigment, adding that in there. Because whenever you look at a sky, usually what you're going to notice is the sky is it's a more intense color, either at the top or the bottom, depending on like where you're looking from. And it just gives that sense of depth. So I'm going to let that dry now. And let me look at my reference photo. So it's got kind of a bit of a blue-green teal in some parts of it. So I don't have a blue-green teal here, so we're actually going to have to mix that up ourselves. So I'm going to get some cerulean blue, which is my lighter blue. I think it leans more to the warm. So I'm just going to pick up a bunch of that color. Okay, rinse my brush. And then I'm going to pick up some, let's see, some olive green. And you see that right there? I'm going to mix a little bit of the two together. Boom. Oh yeah. There's that teal I want. I can add a little bit more water to thin it down. I'm going to pull in a little more blue until I get it about that teal color that I want. Because blue and green make teal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this color and I'm just going to start painting in some of these spots where I saw the teal blue. I'm not being super like stingy with the color. I'm being pretty generous with it because my goal isn't to create a hyper-realistic painting. My goal is to give an impression. And so there was some teal there, there's some teal here as well. Just drag that up a touch, drag that down. That's actually the only spots where I saw the teal. And now looks like the front of the house has this kind of off-white color, but you know what, this is my painting, so I'm gonna make it a bit tanner. We're gonna pull some ochre yellow. I'm gonna water it down a little bit so that it spreads out a bit more. And I'm just gonna do a nice little wash of that ochre yellow over the main parts of the building. So I'm just gonna pull that down and around, pull that up, add that over here. Let it soak in. And this is just, it's so much fun, you guys. Like, to not care, it's okay if something bleeds out a little bit. We'll fix it later, we'll make it blend later. It's just, yeah, I want everyone to experience this. That's why I create stylized art of urban spaces. I want people to appreciate their home, to see their places where they live, work, and play as pieces of art in and of themselves. And I want other people like yourself to be able to create that on your own time. Gonna get a little more intense color here and just make the impression of that part. And now I'm gonna draw in some of these bushes. What I like to do with bushes, I like to get some yellow. Water that down just a touch. and I'm gonna just paint these bushes yellow. The reason is, with watercolor, you wanna go from your lightest value to your darkest value. So I'm starting with a lot of the highlights, a lot of the light colors, and then we're gonna go back over probably 2 or 3 times and add in darker colors and shadows. So there we go, we've got some light color there, and now we're gonna go back and we're gonna grab some olive green again. I need to mix some of that up. Boom, boom. Perfect. And I'm just gonna touch that olive green a little bit in some different spots on the bush. So that yellow is still gonna shine underneath, but now I'm having some of those earthier tones. Looks fantastic. All right, now we're gonna focus on the windows. The windows are, the lower ones are darker, so I'm gonna use indigo blue. This is a really dark blue. This is what I usually use for a lot of my shadow work. Add a little water to make it just a touch lighter. I'm gonna hit the door first. I can always make this darker, but we're just gonna kind of go a little lighter for right now. And then I'm gonna get all the insides of these windows. I'm gonna add just a little more water there so it spreads a little easier. You see, I'm just touching the inside of these windows. I'm not worrying if every piece of white is covered up. That's not my concern. My concern is just to get the color down. I can add in detail later. So there's some more color there, a little touch there, a little more shadow. And then for these upper windows, there's some reflection, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of shadow at the bottom side and a little bit of shadow up here. We can make it darker later. Cool, coming together. Now I just noticed actually that the roof is not that tan color. It's actually kind of the shingles are a bit grayer. So I do have gray here. We're gonna grab some gray, and we're gonna start to indicate like shingles. So I'm not painting the whole thing. I'm just gonna give the indication that shingles are here. Now, mind you, this was originally a mistake, but I think it's actually gonna work out to my favor because you'll be able to see this gray a lot better against that ochre yellow versus just the white page itself. So, happy little mistake, as Bob Ross would say. All right, that's added in there. Now, let's see, let's use some of that gray on these stairs. All right, now we're trying to manage like the rate at which stuff is drying. So stuff's drying up here, we need to work on a different part of the page. So I'm gonna take a little bit more ochre yellow, a bit more of an intense color of it. I'm not gonna water it down too much. And I'm just gonna kind of draw in these bits right here, give it some slightly more intense color. This is kind of shadow. We'll make it shadow later, but first I want to saturate it with the right amount of color. There's some saturation going on here where some shadows are happening. And I'm just going to touch just a little bit of color up here because I feel like these shingles aren't perfectly gray. They've got little bits of everything. And so, boom, got some impressions of color. And again, I'm gonna take some ochre yellow and do these under things that are holding up this little balcony area, and then kind of paint that whole balcony. Just kind of dragging the color across. And let's finish up this window right here. Some more yellow ochre. Just gonna pull at the bottom and kind of fill in the frame of these windows. Perfect. Now I'm gonna add a little more highlight to the windows. I'm gonna take some cerulean blue, and I want to show some like sky reflection on these upper windows. So I'm getting the more intense color of the blue, putting it in the upper window part to try and show some reflection in the sky. You don't really see that in the lower windows, but I'm going to put it there anyway. It's still a little touch wet, so it'll blend pretty well. Add a little there. And no, I'm not going to add any there. Perfect. All right. Now you can see in the bushes, like a lot of the bush has absorbed into one color. That's okay. We're going to go back with some olive green. And we're just gonna like dab, dab, dab at the bottom of it, dab, dab, dab at the bottom of it, a little bit at the top, and just let that dry. Now we're gonna start building up the layers a little bit more. So let's see, we're gonna go back and get a little more of that olive green. Paint that off. Now this might be, you might be the process, so there's 5 stages of art. What I call wide-eyed optimism. This is crap. I am crap. Wait, I might pull this off. Number 5, nice. This is the stage where you might be like, oh, I'm crap. Or wait, I might pull this off because like, yeah, it's kind of, like for me personally, I'm like, oh, this isn't as rich as my paintings normally are. But I'm not done. I'm still creating. I'm still adding stuff. There's still some things I want to do to it. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of creative license and I'm going to add a color in here that is not in the actual painting. I'm going to grab just a little bit of this cadmium red, mix it with the yellow ochre, and I'm just going to I just want to see what it looks like on the edge. Yeah, I kind of like that. Just a little bit of other color. I'm just dragging it on the edge here. Just a little bit. Not saturating it. I just want a little bit of different color, and I'm just going to add a little bit here, a little bit here. You might be saying, Theo, why are you adding those colors? I don't know. It just feels right. Add a little bit of color there. Okay. Now I'm going to pause and we're going to let this dry and we're going to continue. Okay, now it's dried a little bit more. We're going to do another little layer here and there. So what I'm going to do is, what's the best tactic to actually go about? Like, I think I'm just going to darken everything a little bit more. So let's go back to the door, because with watercolor, you build up shadow and dark stuff with layers. So I'm going to make the door just a touch darker. Okay, filled that in. I'm going to get a little bit of water, get some more indigo, draining off a little bit of that water, pull up a little bit more pigment. And now I'm going to go back into the windows, starting at the bottom and kind of moving up again, because shadow tends to be darker further down. Pull some more shadow. Give some more indications down here. And same with here. Perfect. Now you might notice in the painting, in this under section here, it's kind of in shadow because the sun is shining down. So we're going to kind of show shadow of what is, what's kind of protruding out a little bit. So I'm going to take some more of that indigo, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over this lower section to show shadow. Rinse off my brush. So now it's just water. I'm going to pull that. I'm just going to kind of spread that around a touch, and boom, you've got shadow there. Now I'm going to pull a little more indigo, show some shadow right here, and show some additional shadow right here. Rinse off my brush, and I'm just going to blend that into the painting so that it's not a harsh line. You can see that shadow a little bit more. I'm going to head over to the chimney. And paint this chimney piece. That was too much pigment. That's okay. Just gonna grab that, do that little touch there. And now I'm gonna go back to the door again because it's already dry. I'm just gonna add another layer of paint and pigment to try and darken it up. Try and give it a little more character. I'm gonna go back to the bushes. And again, I'm just gonna do some indications of green. We're building up the saturation now. And now I'm gonna go back over this stone and I'm gonna use gray to indicate bricks a little bit. So I'm gonna mix this up, drain off some of the water, and I'm just gonna use the very tip of my brush and kind of drag across to show some lines, indicating some bricks with paint. These are gonna dry pretty light, but it's gonna just add a little more depth to the painting. So, a little touch here, some little touches. Some of this water is still wet. Go back to the roof. Do some more shingles. That will dry. And now pull just a few lines down because that's going to help indicate, oh, this is brick. A few lines up, a few lines down in some strategic places. Doesn't have to be everywhere. Boop, boop. Perfect. Fill in some of this white spot a little bit more. I'm going to outline the door frame with gray because I don't think I've done that yet. Do a little more color on the stairs. And then one of the last things I'm going to do is put a little bit of shadow in front of the building. I'm just going to pull it out a touch. So we've got a clean brush now, going back over, just kind of pulling it out. Then I can go back, add some more like dark spots at the stairs, and put some gray in the window seal here. Boom. And now, so that's the painting portion. I'm gonna let this dry and we're gonna finalize it all with a little bit of ink. Okay, now we're gonna do the very last step, which is just adding in some details. So for that, I'm gonna take, let's see, I've got a number 3 micron pen here and a number 5. And right now all the pen stuff, it's all the same depth, or I'm sorry, it's all the same thickness, but by using a thicker pen and just adding in a few details, you can really make the whole painting pop. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna outline the shape of the entire house now that everything's dry. So I'm gonna start here and I'm just gonna follow the same lines and the same wiggles that I made as best as I can. Doesn't matter if it doesn't perfectly cover up. But I'm gonna follow all that as best as possible to create the shape of this house. So I've got the chimney there. I'm gonna come across the roof, pull that down, follow these little wiggles, even create some new ones along the way. Can still hear some fireworks going off in the background. That's okay, it's the 4th. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more of an outline of this bush. So it looks like the paint, I don't know if you can tell here, but it looks like the paint came up a little bit. So I'm just gonna encapsulate some of that. I'm still gonna follow some of these other lines that I initially made. Boom, there's that bush. Come over here for this bush. and I'm just making jagged edges, just wherever my hand wants to go. Redraw this little brick part here, this little brick part here, and now I'm actually going to break out the number 5 for the gate, this fence, because that fence, she a thick girl, and I want to show that well. So I'm going to come down the same lines, still making little wiggles here and there. Doesn't matter that it's straight. Make some intentional wiggles and whatnot, because it makes the whole picture more interesting to look at. Why did he make those wiggles? You know? So I'm going to draw the top of that fence. Boom, now that fence is there. Put number 5 away, bring back out number 3, and I'm just going to outline a few more aspects of the painting. So I'm going to outline the door frame here, the stairs, just giving the indications, some lines of the stairs. I'm not even outlining all of the stairway, just some of it. A little bit of the door, some of the inner door frame. Get the window seal. I'm going to draw a little under part of the window seal. It might be there, it might not, I don't really remember. Right now I'm not looking at the original piece. I'm just doing what I think I need to do to make this art come to life just a bit more. So I'm doing this, going all the way around to outline the main basic shape. Leave that stuff there. Outline these window seals. And then kind of get these little gateways. Oh, I want to outline this railing here too. Now in the picture, it's not the same kind of railing, but you know what? This is my picture. I don't really care. And so I'm just gonna make it a metal railing. If I was doing this as a commission, maybe I might make it a fancier railing, but this is just for fun. It's just a lesson, just an example. And I'm really, really happy with how this is turning out right now. Isn't it amazing what like just some thicker lines can do to a drawing? Okay, I think friends, that is a wrap. So hopefully you followed along. Hopefully you are also happy with how it came out. I like to sign my name toward the side. And there you have it, your very first painting. Anybody can paint, anybody can draw. It's a fun process. Really want to encourage you to, I hope you have followed all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, please, please, please give me a like and hit that subscribe button. I'm hoping to do one of these tutorials every single week, if not bi-weekly based on how the vlog videos go. But it really just helps out the channel if you like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below, were you able to follow through to the very end, and what video or building would you like me to do next? Thanks guys for sticking around, and I will see you in the next video.